the discovery of this profound dimension of contentment, this profound, unshakable rootedness in the inherent goodness of the life itself, of existence itself, of the cosmos itself, just the inherent yes that this event of existence is. Being rooted in that, it gives us a kind of strength and a kind of passionate conviction to address everything in this world that's messed up and that needs to be changed, to bring it into its full potential and its highest possibility. It's like it's more like you discover the perfection of the essence of the universe, and that makes you want to bring that perfection into manifestation. It makes you want to perfect this messed up world.
Welcome to Meditation Changes Everything with spiritual teacher Craig Hamilton, a podcast exploring the deeper potentials of meditation practice and how it can change every aspect of human life. Today, Craig invites us into a powerful exploration. Is it possible to fully embrace life as it is and still be passionate about evolving and improving the world? On the spiritual path, we're often taught to accept everything exactly as it is. But at the same time, many of us feel a deep pull to heal, to grow, and to bring more goodness into the world. How do these two impulses fit together? Are they in conflict, or are they part of a greater whole? In this episode, Craig responds to questions from participants in his courses, offering a fresh perspective on the surprising relationship between acceptance and transformation, and how a deeper understanding can change the way we meet life itself. We hope you enjoyed the show. Here's Craig.
Christina says, to me, saying yes to the moment means accepting the reality of that moment as it is. I get that. When you say, see the moment as whole and complete, I understand it in the context of this is all there is in this moment. There's nothing more. Thus, it is whole and complete. I get that. However, when you say, see the moment as an unfolding of the perfection and goodness of reality, that I don't get. If at the moment I'm in physical pain and I'm anxious because a loved one is seriously ill, I can accept it in the moment and see that moment as whole and complete. But to see it as goodness and perfection seems to me it would be negating my experience of the moment. What am I missing? So, Christina, that's all very rational, and it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. Because, to try to drill in on the essence of the problem you're raising with the problem with the theory here, is you're saying, look, how could something bad be good? And that's kind of what you're asking. You're saying that I'm encouraging you to see everything that occurs as an expression of kind of the unfolding of cosmic reality, let's say, of the unfolding of ultimate reality in form. And that means that, and because ultimate reality is inherently positive, and it's this, big yes, it's this creative impulse toward extraordinary potentials, let's say, that's unfolding itself through time and manifestation. So because ultimate reality is that positivity, and then I'm saying, well, see if you can relate to even experiences that you would call negative. See if you're going to relate to those differently and see that they are part of this unfolding essence that is itself inherently positive. So I'm kind of saying that, and you're saying, okay, but you're telling me to see something bad as good. And that's a stretch. How do I, why would I do that? How could I do that? If I was doing that, wouldn't I just be negating the fact that something is actually bad? So from one point of view, yes, you're right. I mean, it could be taken that way, and it could be engaged in the way you're saying. But see, this is where, we have to just understand that these are, I'm calling these practices of direct awakening, which means we're trying to practice stepping into awakened consciousness in this moment during the meditation practice and relating to our experience from there. But I'm inviting us to do it whether or not we really have a living, activated experience of awakened consciousness. So that's part of the challenge here, because it's not like a fake it till you make it instruction. I'm not saying just pretend that you are experiencing everything as wonderful, even when you're having a horrible experience. I'm not really saying that. But what I'm trying to do is, it's like what's in traditional Mahayana Buddhist, some of the Buddhist sects, it was called pointing out instructions, where the teacher would try to point out awakened mind in the student's mind, like trying to point it out in your own experience. I'm kind of trying to point you to see if you can see this and not have it be a contradiction. So I'm kind of trying to invite you to, okay, like, here's the question. Would it be possible for you to be yourself having this experience that, like you said, you're in physical pain or a loved one is seriously ill, and there's an aspect of that experience that's very, negative. It's uncomfortable. It's difficult. You don't, of course, nobody wants to be in pain physically or emotionally or distress over what could happen to a loved one. Like none of us want that experience as humans. And it's not that we're going to go and seek out that experience, but when that experience is what's arising for us, can we allow ourselves to be having that experience, not negate, like not reject that or not say, oh, you're not getting it. You're thinking it's bad, but it's not bad. It's good. Not doing that, but like making room for the negativity of the experience to be experienced as it is. But here's the key: to not the radical spiritual insight or shift is to not let that experience in any way obscure your seeing of the essence dimension of things, which is an unfolding good. So the spiritual thesis is that the essence of everything is beyond good. It's a glorious positivity beyond our mind's ability to label it as such. It's like life is good with a capital G and a capital O and a capital O and a capital D. It's good. And that is like a fact of existence that is immutable. Nothing bad that happens changes that fact. And spiritual awakening reveals that fact to us in our own experience in a way that if we get anchored in it, nothing bad that happens will change will dull our knowing of the fact of goodness as the essence. So the goal isn't to get to a place where we're now numb to all the ups and downs and pains and tragedies of life, because we just, life is good, everything's good. I mean, you see spiritual people sometimes do that, or people who are trying to be spiritual. And that is kind of what spiritual bypassing refers to. It's like, everything's fine. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is God's will, or everything's, the universe is up to something. So it's just doing its thing. And, I might judge it as bad, but really it's all good. This is not that. I'm not talking about that. Like, people do that though. I mean, hopefully you don't have to listen to a lot of that, but there are a lot of kind of spiritually oriented people who are thinking about it that way. And it's what's called, in philosophy, it's what's called a category error or category mistake, where they're applying a truth that doesn't apply at that level, trying to apply it at a level where it doesn't apply. But anyway, I know I'm getting really, really kind of almost theological and philosophical here, but I'm just trying to really get at the essence of this. So the essence piece that we're talking about is I'm able to stay rooted in the direct knowledge of the sacred. Let's just say I'm able to stay rooted in the direct knowledge of the sacred essence of reality that is the truth of every moment. It's the fundamental truth that is immutable in every moment. It never changes. This whole thing is amazing. It always is. My relative experience of the ups and downs of life and my relative experience of the ups and downs of my inner life never obscures my ability to see what this is fundamentally. So I see the fundamental, essential radiance shining through everything, including even the things that on a relative level I don't like. So try that. Try working with that as at least a thought experiment in your practice. And that's really more what I'm pointing to. So anyway, I hope that's illuminating of it in some way.
In our next segment, Craig responds to a question from a participant who wonders whether her longing to create a more sustainable, awakened world might be in conflict with the spiritual practice of unconditional acceptance. If we're truly saying yes to life as it is, she asks, is it a contradiction to want to improve it?
So you're essentially saying that you, like most of us, look around at the state of the world and you see there's so much that needs to change, and how are human beings going to come together in a new way and create a more sustainable future? And you feel those impulses and you think about projects to participate in, to move the world in that direction. And you want to be part of the solution, not just part of the past. You want to be part of creating the future that's more positive and enlightened and sustainable and so many other things. And then you kind of wonder, well, is that sort of just my ego is that my ego saying no to the way things are and wanting to impose its agenda on reality? Maybe the more spiritual approach would just be to be a big yes to what is and accept what is as it is and not be trying to change the world. A lot of us on the spiritual path have been taught to think that any form of wanting things to be different is somehow ego, or somehow not the truly enlightened way to live, because the enlightenment is about total acceptance of what is, or a total yes to what is. So here's how this plays out in reality, though. The more so being an unconditional yes to what is like a fundamental stance. It's a fundamental realization that says, I'm not going to try to push anything out. I'm going to let all of it in, and I'm going to embrace reality as it is unflinchingly. And I'm going to see that in its essence, it's positive. There's a big yes going on here. And even though one day to the next, I might experience all kinds of troubles and tribulations and grief, but fundamentally, I'm not going to let that erode my big yes to being here and showing up in life wholeheartedly, because fundamentally the universe is a yes. Fundamentally, the life force is a big yes. And fundamentally, I'm going to be a big yes and align with that truth. So That's what that's about. But what we see in practice is anyone who really does that then definitely wants to see the world change more in that direction. In other words, the more we discover the inherent positivity of all of this, the goodness, the beyond goodness of life, and the possibility for life to be so good, for love to be the law of the land, if you will, and we begin to sense this, the more we want to reshape the world to be a reflection of that. And that desire to reshape and elevate the world is not saying no to what is. It's part of that bigger yes. So there's kind of this inner practice of saying yes to everything in meditation, and outwardly that then what it gives birth to is an impulse to evolve the world, to elevate the world, and to change so many things. And they're not in contradiction in practice, even though if you just read them, they sound like contradictions. And so I think maybe the simple way to deal with that tension is to just acknowledge that invitation, that practice that you're referring to was a meditation practice. I'm inviting you in meditation to not have any preference, to not reject anything as less than, to not judge anything as not adequate or shouldn't be here, but to make room for everything, to include everything. So that's a meditation practice. It doesn't work in your life. You can't just go and then try to do that during the day, because in life, we have to discriminate. We have to discern. We have to see the things, every day there are all kinds of things happening that shouldn't be happening and that we want to fix. And so you can't, again, just if maybe just keep that in meditation, because it's designed to open a door to a different consciousness, and then see how that different consciousness manifests in your life, because it will manifest differently in daily life.
In our final segment, Craig responds to a question about the deeper nature of contentment. Can we stay rooted in a sense of unshakable well-being, even in the face of suffering, injustice, or the potential collapse of the world as we know it?
David in San Diego says, I'm continuing to struggle with the assertion of underlying deep and unshakable contentment in the face of all that's wrong in the world. One spiritual teacher I've read stated that given the infinite, timeless, true nature of everything, even if the entire earth were obliterated in some cosmic event, as we know will happen at the latest 5 billion years from now when the sun burns out, that would have no impact on the underlying goodness of reality. So this is what the other teacher said, that even if the whole earth were obliterated in some cosmic event, that would have no impact on the underlying goodness of reality. Well, and David says, this seems like a sensible extrapolation of what you teach. Do you have any comments? Well, I have to say, David, that when I read what your quote there, I felt like I had to agree. I felt, so I think you're right. I felt, yeah, that's true. There's nothing under the sun that could occur that would change the fundamental goodness of reality, I would say. But here's the thing. Believing that or not believing that as a concept it doesn't change our state of awakening. Awakening isn't about coming to believe that as an idea. It's not about going and thinking, I wonder if that's true. Is the universe good, fundamentally good, even so good that, even if the whole earth were wiped out, the universe would still be a good thing. Still, the essence of things is still good. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to think about. I mean, it is something, it's interesting to reflect on, certainly. It's valuable to reflect on these things, because you might come to some radical insight through reflection, contemplation, go, wow, well, I guess I would have to say, I would still feel like existence was a net positive thing, even if Earth was gone. But coming to that new belief system, about the inherent goodness of the universe, regardless of what happens to the planet Earth. Isn't a mystical thing. It's not the same as the underlying unshakable contentment that you're pointing to, that you mentioned in your first sentence. You can't get to that underlying deep and unshakable contentment just through thinking about these things. That's something that you either discover through spiritual awakening, you discover a dimension of reality that is content, that is whole, that is lacking nothing, and is unperturbed by no matter what happens in creation in this world. You discover this depth that is untouched by the ups and downs of life, and you become rooted in that through discovering it. So you either discover it or you practice it, as we're doing here in some of our meditations. That's something we sometimes practice. We practice taking the position that nothing that happens in this meditation is a problem. That nothing that's happening in this moment is a problem. We take a position of radical contentment with what is. I'm choosing to be with what is as it is, without any belief or judgment that it should be other than what it is. So I'm letting it be as it is, without any conviction that it should be otherwise. So we can practice this in meditation. That can lead to the discovery. By practicing it, we can open ourselves to the actual discovery of this place in ourselves of fundamental contentment. But again, that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that, because I think why people struggle with this philosophically, and this may be what's going on for you, David, is we feel, therefore, that it's a nihilistic relationship to the world. Kind of apathetic, nihilistic, like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And that's not what this is about at all. It doesn't lead to apathy. It doesn't lead to a lack of conviction. It doesn't lead to a kind of passivity where we just don't do anything anymore. Quite the opposite, really. The discovery of this profound dimension of contentment, this profound, unshakable rootedness in the inherent goodness of life itself, of existence itself, of the cosmos itself, just the inherent yes that this event of existence is. Being rooted in that, it gives us a kind of strength and a kind of passionate conviction to address everything in this world that's messed up and that needs to be changed, to bring it into its full potential and its highest possibility. It's like it's more like you discover the perfection of the essence of the universe, and that makes you want to bring that perfection into manifestation. It makes you want to perfect this messed up world, and you, because you now see its potential to be an ever more beautiful expression of that essential goodness. And so you want to bring it out. You want to express it in your own life. You want to help other people step into it. You want to organize the world and society and everything into an ever more perfect, beautiful expression of that essential goodness and even perfection at the heart of things. So, yeah, But again, all of these things have to be discovered for real in our own practice, in our own awakening. They're not things we can just believe and impose. In my experience, that's how it works, what I just shared. Thank you.
If the approach to meditation we've been exploring today inspires you, you are invited to tune into a 90-minute online workshop Craig will be hosting called Meditation 2.0, The Miracle of Direct Awakening. In the workshop, he'll share a powerful new approach to meditation practice and guide you in a series of brief meditation experiments so you can experience it for yourself. You can listen to that at freemeditationworkshop.com. That's freemeditationworkshop.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, we hope you'll share our show with others. And please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you have a minute to write a short review on your podcast app, we would deeply appreciate your support. You can stay connected to the show by subscribing to our newsletter at meditationchangeseverything.com. Each week, we'll send you new audios and videos from Craig, and we'll also let you know when we release new episodes of the show. For a deeper experience of Craig's approach to meditation, consider joining our Awakened Life membership program. Each month, you'll receive in-depth teachings and guidance, including a meditation workshop, 4 guided meditations, and a live online retreat with Craig. And when you register today, you can receive your first month for 50% off. Go to awakenedlifemembership.com to learn more and enroll. That's awakenedlifemembership.com. Check out our show notes for links to all the ways you can stay in touch with Craig's work. Meditation Changes Everything is created by Craig Hamilton, Susan Fries, Morgan Dix, Stephanie Murphy, Will Bowman, and Richard Klein. From all of us, thank you for tuning in.